All right, it's November 17th, and we have a new reversal from Trump. Trump calls for Republicans to vote to release Epstein files. So this is a quick 180 because just the other day, Trump was saying, basically you don't need to release the Epstein files, and he was attacking Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massie for basically being America first and also just hinting and kind of nudging Trump into looking more into the Epstein files. And now Trump is saying release them because he said we have nothing to hide, which is what we've been wanting to hear him say for a long time. Um, yeah, so Trump is, he's not going to be found guilty in anything, and he knows that. But he knows his name is connected to a lot of Epstein and a lot of his associates. So he doesn't really want to release the files for that reason, but because everyone keeps bugging him, like I said, once it affects him personally, he'll do something about it. So now he's gonna want the Epstein files released just so it can get out the way. They can stop asking him about it. Um, but yeah, this is a big reversal, and this is good. This is what Trump should have been doing this whole time. But because he knows he's innocent, he truly doesn't really care about the Epstein files. I know a lot of us care a lot about the Epstein files. I've been going after Epstein for years. Um, but Trump doesn't really care. He only cares about making America great again. And it's just kind of hard for us to fathom that because, we're completely aware of the Epstein files. But so we'll see if the Republicans actually do vote to do this, and the Democrats. And I think they will because if you say no to this, it's basically political suicide. And a lot of these people in that are going to be voting in the House and the Senate, a lot of them probably want to run for reelection, or they want to do that, run for reelection, and maybe run for a bigger role later on in their career. And every time you win an election or re-election, it only helps your resume. So basically, a lot of these people will vote, I believe. And another reason why I think Trump doesn't want to release the Epstein files until now is something that a lot of people don't think about, and that's the fact that everyone knows there's a lot of billionaires that are on this list and in the files. And the problem I think that Trump is aware of is that if you actually go after these billionaires that were on Epstein's Island and Zorro Ranch and other places, and let's just say you put them in jail. So is the economy propped up enough to where half the billionaires go to jail? Because if half the billionaires go to jail, that's going to affect the economy, because these are a lot of people that produce and supply a lot of jobs. And yeah, because if they go away and then someone else takes over for the company, it's not that simple. A lot of companies go bankrupt right after they get new ownership because it's just a change of ideas. I used to work for a company that their owner and CEO retired like 3 times, but he had to come back because every time the new owner was kind of running the company into the ground. And I think Trump is aware of that. I think he knows that if the Epstein files get released, a lot of the top billionaires will go to jail, but that's going to affect the economy, which is going to affect him and his legacy. Again, a lot of people don't think about it that way because um, justice needs to be done, and it still needs to be done. Even if it causes a huge crash in the economy, like justice needs to be done. But maybe there's a way we can do this coordinatedly, if that's a word, and safely. Um, because if you just arrest half the billionaires and all these CEOs and billionaires that are making money and supply a lot of jobs, like hundreds and thousands and more than that, um, it could really affect the economy in a bad way. So anyway, the Epstein files need to be released. Everyone involved needs to go to jail, no matter what the cost is. But I think Trump might be trying to figure out a way to do this in a safe way without crashing the economy. Because remember, Trump's economy is not really going to kick in fully until like another quarter or two. And a lot of these investments that have already come in, over $17 trillion, a lot of these are for major factories, warehouses, plants that are going to employ tens of thousands of people. They're literally in the process of building those plants and factories right now. So nobody can get hired yet to work there. So we're kind of in a waiting game in the Trump economy because he has all this investment, but we're not going to see the harvest of it until a little bit. So, with that being said, the economy is right about to like explode. So, I don't know if Trump wants to hurt the economy right now, right before an explosion. But like I said, this needs to be done anyway. Even if it hurts Trump's economy legacy a little bit, it still has to be done. So anyway, Trump is not going to be found guilty in anything. I think we all know that. Jeffrey Epstein is someone I've investigated a lot, and believe me, Trump is not implicated, which is why we were all so upset with him when he was saying don't release it. Because, like he said today or the other day, we have nothing to hide. So big time here. Another thing about this is that if they vote to release it and the Senate votes to release it and Trump signs it, you could probably expect like a false flag or something, because if the files actually get released and people are implicated, a lot of powerful people might be going to jail. And if they're powerful enough and have enough money, time, and resources, they can pull off a false flag probably. So just saying. Um, the dark forces that run this world don't want this to be released. So if it does get voted to be released, something might happen. We'll see. So another big event here is the U.S. to designate Cartel de los Solas as foreign terrorist organization, clearing the way for U.S. military action against Venezuela. So this is a big deal because this specific cartel is rumored to say that Nicolas Maduro is the leader of that cartel. And that's a big deal because obviously he's not even a legitimate president. He didn't win that election, and he's a dictator, and he's a socialist. And now he's a leader, or has been a leader, of this cartel, allegedly. Um, and if they're designated as a foreign terror organization, then that means the U.S. can do even more strikes than they were probably willing to do or were planning to do, because I still think they're going to strike. It's been enough time. They're now a terrorist organization, so I think the U.S. is going to do something soon here. And if they're a foreign terrorist uh, organization, the Nicolas Maduro technically could be killed by the U.S. military. That's probably not going to happen. That's insane, probably, but like that's kind of the escalation that we're at when you label them a foreign terrorist organization. And if Maduro really is the leader, then yeah, then the U.S. can kind of do whatever they want legally. But another thing is that China and Russia have given Venezuela anti-aircraft, anti-missile defense systems. I made videos on that like last week or something, and I was explaining that Russia already uh, gave them this stuff, and China is probably going to do it next. And the other day, Trump went on a secret flight in the middle of the night at 4 a.m. He went to, um, I forget where he went, but he was shown the exact military supplies that Russia gave Venezuela and China. And he was basically very mad because he didn't want Russia and China to do that because, like I said, he's gonna strike them, and that would probably hinder it because the U.S. military reported back to the president that this quantum radar that Venezuela now has, thanks to Russia and China, it's pretty good and it could disrupt any military action that the U.S. does. So that was like a big deal for Trump because he was very upset, and that's why today they're labeling this cartel as a foreign terrorist organization because it's kind of like a chess game. Trump just checkmated them, right? Um, because Venezuela probably felt pretty good with this quantum radar, and now they woke up today and found out that they're a foreign terrorist organization, or at least Maduro's regime. So now they're not really protected because, um, I mean, it wouldn't like stop a full-on strike, but it would disrupt, which could cause major damage and bad stuff. So basically, the US could go in guns blazing and just completely devastate a certain portion of Venezuela or certain areas. And they would legally be allowed to do that. Yeah, this whole thing's crazy. I don't even support really any of this. It's just that's kind of where we're at, and it's a game of chess. So I mean, this quantum radar will probably have some effect, but it's not going to stop a U.S. Operation, not 100%. And I still haven't heard anything about Maduro agreeing to any peace plan from the Trump administration. So it seems like Maduro is gonna stick to power for as long as he can. I don't know if that's smart or not for him, but yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. The U.S. is definitely gonna do something here, especially with this designation, because now they could do even more if they wanted to. And then this was interesting. Indian government busted helping send fentanyl to the USA. A major Indian pharmaceutical company ships fentanyl ingredients into the United States with the help of the Indian government, according to bombshell evidence. Okay, so I think it's pretty clear that China's not the only country sending fentanyl to the US. I mean, Venezuela is too, speaking of them, and Mexico and Canada. But this just goes to show you that, like, almost every single country has been taking advantage of the United States. Every time you see Trump or Modi or American or Indian together in the White House or something like that, they seem to be best friends. So then why were they sending fentanyl to the US? Um, yeah. So this just goes to show you that Trump needs to be tough on everybody, which he has been, but this is why. Because people get upset that Trump is like too mean to leaders. Yeah, they're literally sending drugs to kill your kids, so Trump has to actually play art of the deal and actually negotiate fair deals. So this is just a good example that, like, even our allies who have nothing good to say about or have nothing but good things to say about us, they always seem to be up to something bad as well. Because we all like to point the finger to China and say that yes, they're doing this on purpose, which they are, but it's not just China. So that's why we need Trump. That's why we need a border. That's why we need, you know, fair trade deals because countries will take advantage. It's just the way of the world, I guess. And then let's just look at some headlines here. Um, let's see. The floodgates open on Thomas Kirk's social media. A lot of people are digging even deeper into Thomas Kirk's thanks to Tucker Carlson. And yeah, the FBI had to come out and say, yes, he acted alone. Nobody believes that, Cash. Trump may open talks with Maduro amid U.S. military buildup. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, Maduro has to do something quick because the U.S. is moving forward. George Soros gave $250,000 to British organization lobbying to censor conservative news sites, kill Musk's Twitter. I can't believe George Soros is still alive. Like, he's been old since I was young. And he just seems to have unlimited money. Unlimited. Trump orders education benefits restored for those veterans who refuse COVID vaccine. Yeah, I think the U.S. military did that as well. And I think they actually rehired a lot of the fired troops because they didn't want the vaccine. And it's just crazy. Hunter Biden urges Democrats to race to the bottom faster following Kirk's assassination. Yeah, Hunter Biden's a weird guy. Um, like, he loves the division. In every interview, he loves the fact that Americans are fighting with each other over politics. Um, yeah, he's a weird guy, so I'm sure he would like that. Um, Trump says he's in talks with Democrats about gutting Obamacare. We've been talking about this. This is something that a lot of people would support. Obviously, the Democrats aren't going to like that because the name Obamacare makes it sound like this good thing Obama did. Um, but yeah, the whole Obamacare thing is ridiculous. Trump's plan would work a lot more efficient than the way it is now. And the best part about this is if Trump's plan comes into play, uh, the US government doesn't have to spend $5 billion on a website that doesn't work because Obamacare, the website didn't work and they spent $5 billion on it. So, yeah, that's just another win right there for Trump. Um, Trump flips the entire script on Democrats to push to release Epstein files. Yeah, a lot of the Democrats, I don't know what they're going to say now because some of these Democrats could be implicated themselves. But again, it's political suicide to vote no to this, so we'll see. Trump calls out climate suckers. The whole thing is a hoax. Yeah, Trump is right about this. Everyone knows climate change is a hoax. Um, the only thing is, why are you still having Bill Gates at the White House? That's worth questioning. So, yeah. Anyway, Bessent reveals what he expects from SCOTUS ruling over Trump's power to levy tariffs. Yeah, I really hope the Supreme Court does the right decision here because even if they vote against it, like Trump will figure out a way to keep it going. It'll just slow us down. And yeah, we need the economy to go soon, not later. Um, Trump threatens to replace Rhino Indiana Republicans who won't redistrict. Yeah, the next election cycle is going to be intense because the Republicans did not do well the last off-year election, which was like 2 weeks ago, whatever, with Mamdani. And Trump is the incumbent president, and typically after 4 years, the other party gains a little bit of an advantage just because people get caught up in the propaganda that the current president isn't good and all this. So Trump is going to have to probably replace a lot of people or try to. I mean, he was trying to replace Marjorie Taylor Greene the other day. Um, that probably won't stick, but just because as we head into the midterms and definitely the next election, there's going to be a lot of division in between the Republican Party and the Democrat Party because they're going to have a lot of socialists running and then they're going to have a lot of regular Democrats and they're going to have to fight whose ideology do people want more and the GOP as well with Israel first, America first. And so I think Trump is going to be very active in the next campaign election cycle just because it's going to be kind of crazy, I think. Let's see. Michelle Obama enters the Oppression Olympics with wild comment about white people. She's been having a lot of weird comments lately, but that's not weird. I mean, it's just weird how sometimes she will just sorry. It's crazy how Michael Obama will sometimes just appear and just like go on these shows and then like disappear for 5 years. So kind of like Kamala, actually. Trump has a new nickname for Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yeah, it's Wacky Marjorie. Yeah, they're gonna be friends again later on, I'm sure. Trump admin drops hammer on Snap scammers after finding 186,000 dead people collecting benefits. Yep, there's more than this too. That's just what they found so far. The SNAP program is insanely corrupt and just so many people taking advantage. You're going to see more headlines like this, hopefully, if they keep purging. Texas, California National Guard being recalled from Chicago, Portland deployments. We'll see if everything stays the same or if the crime goes up again. We'll see. Charlotte grocery store offers illegals free delivery to avoid ICE. Yeah, that's insane. I mean, they're not. That's insane from a lot of different perspectives. Obviously, these are illegal aliens, but also, how's the store. Like, the store has to be losing money off that, right? You can't just do free delivery. Anyway, federal and firearm indictments up 292% under expanded Project Safe Neighborhoods in northern Illinois. Wow, that's an insane percent. And, just Illinois. Probably it's not the best state. Trump admin eyes housing fix as billionaire Bill Ackman drops new Fannie Freddie proposal. Yeah, Trump is really trying to fix the housing thing, at least temporarily, because after the Trump economy really starts going, people are going to be able to afford things much easier. So I think Trump is just trying to do stuff like in the meantime. Palisades victims say California failed them as majority still in temporary housing. Yeah, Gavin Newsom, I really hope you run for president because, I mean, it doesn't even matter who the GOP nominee is. They're gonna win because yeah, everyone can see through this. Everyone can see through this. It's probably only liberals in California who can't see through this for some reason, but it's just insane. Um, U.S. aims for Thanksgiving deadline for China rare earth steel. Yeah, they still haven't gotten anything official, but like I've been saying, Winnie the Pooh is coming to the White House in January, so I'm pretty sure things will be finalized and then. Um, let's see. U.S. Treasury's last 5 minted pennies may spark multi-million dollar bidding war. So, I don't know if I mentioned this in the past or not, but the US did stop uh, minting pennies. This is actually something Trump campaigned on. He actually talked about this when he was running for president. It just wasn't like a big deal, when other things were on the table. Um, and you probably wonder why that even matters. But Trump actually explained it, and I looked it up, and it's true. It's actually costing the United States 2 cents to make a penny or something like that. Basically, the numbers weren't adding up. It was costing more to make pennies than it was to not make pennies. So by cutting pennies and cutting the minting of pennies is actually saving the US a lot of money over time because we were printing a lot of, pennies a day. Just do the math. That adds up to millions of dollars by the end of the year. And Trump is just saving money doing that. Also, you know, it's 2025. The majority of almost every transaction now is through card or Apple Pay or whatever, something online. So it's not really going to affect people. But if you have pennies, just save them because they could be worth a lot of money one day. Because I think this is true. I think maybe down the line, I don't know how long, but people will be willing to pay a lot of money for pennies. So if you got them, keep them, I guess. Give them to your grandkid or something. It'll be worth a lot. So that's probably about it. Again, the major thing is the Jeffrey Epstein files are going to be voted on to be released in the House and hopefully in the Senate, and then Trump will sign it. And, hopefully we can fire Pam Bondi after all this because this is just proving her wrong in every way. So, yeah, a lot of stuff can come from this. And I just don't believe that, like, they're going to allow the Epstein files to be released. I think the dark forces of this world will try to do something to stop that. But now have Trump wanting it to be released, so we're probably in for quite a battle here because Trump is pretty much unstoppable when it comes down to getting what he wants, and he's kind of going up against the most evil forces right now. So we'll see who wins this matchup. So, and then we'll see what happens in Venezuela because we'll just see if the designation causes a more extreme strike or you know some sort of insane trade deal. Who knows? We'll see. But only time will tell. So that's about it. If anything else happens, I'll let you know. Till then, I'll see you.